Peyton. Today we'll be talking about water chemistry. I'm going to show you how to test the water in your saltwater aquarium.
Well, why do you need to test the water in your aquarium?
To make sure your nitrogen cycle is started. And it's the best way to make sure your tank is nice and healthy.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you go get some water and we'll test the water from our 75-gallon saltwater aquarium.
Okay.
The nitrogen cycle is started by bacteria in live rock and live sand. This bacteria breaks down the ammonia that is created by fish and debris in your tank. As the nitrogen cycle starts, the ammonia gets broken down into nitrite and then nitrate, which then is consumed by some algae in your tank and also evaporates off. Now see, Peyton's back with the water. So now we're going to start doing our test of our water. Now, how often should you test the water in your aquarium?
When you first get your tank, you should test it daily.
Our tank has been up and gone for a couple of weeks now, so we test the water about every other day. Now, when you start testing the water in your aquarium, when you start testing the water in your aquarium, you want to get a test kit that tests for your pH, ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. There are other test kits that test for even more things like heavy metals and other compounds in the water. But you want something to test for at least, the very least, those four things. Peyton's filling up the vials, and with every test kit you get, no matter who the manufacturer it is, always read the directions. Now, the reason I'm letting Peyton do this is because a lot of people think that doing saltwater aquariums is a very difficult thing to do, and this is the part of it that really freaks a lot of people out and makes them shy away from doing saltwater aquariums. And it's really not that hard, not that complicated. Peyton is 6 years old. The only reason I'm here with her testing the water is to supervise. She's pretty much got this all in hand. Now, what's the first thing you're testing, Peyton?
The first thing we're going to test is the pH.
And pH, what do you want the pH in your tank to be around?
Around 8.2 and 8.4.
So somewhere in between 8.2 and 8.4?
Right.
Okay. Okay. What's that one for?
We're going to test the nitrate.
Now, most of these test kits have a color chart. So when you start doing your testing, it makes it real easy to figure out what it is that you're reading. Now, what's this one for?
The ammonia. This is the ammonia.
Now again, as you're doing these tests, you're looking to see and looking to check to make sure that things are rising and falling the way they should in your tank. fish will produce ammonia right away, which is why we recommend, and why most people recommend, starting off with a hardy fish like a damsel or a few damsels, depending on the size of your tank. You want to make sure that you don't overwhelm the bacteria colony of the live rock and the live sand. But as they start to break down the ammonia,
this is the nitrate.
that's the nitrate.
Yes.
As they start to break down the ammonia, the colony will also rise.
Oops, I only got 8, and what needs 10?
Oh, it needs 10? So you need 2 more?
Yeah.
Okay.
9, 10.
Alrighty. Again, very precise. Make sure you follow the directions. Now, our tank, as we have mentioned before, has been up and running for a while. So, at this point, Peyton, what do you want to do with all of your stuff, with all of your vials and your chemicals?
You're trying to check for the nitrogen cycle and to make sure your tank is healthy.
Now, explain what's going on with the nitrogen cycle. Because the first thing that's produced is what?
The first thing is ammonia.
Right.
Which you have to let sit, and it will rise slowly.
Okay. So you give that a few minutes to see what color it settles on?
Yes.
Okay. And then the ammonia gets broken down into what?
Nitrite.
Okay.
Which should start to rise eventually.
And right now, what is our nitrite level?
0.
Okay. And then the nitrate?
The nitrate is at 0 right now, but when our nitrite breaks down, it should start to rise a little. And eventually, it should all go to 0.
Including the pH?
No.
Oh, so we want our pH to stay where it's at.
Right.
Okay. So we give our ammonia test a few minutes just to make sure that it's going to stay where it's at or to see how much it rises. And our tank, we've been tracking it. It's been rising pretty slowly. We had one point where it was up to 0.5 and then it dropped back down to 0.25, which means the bacteria in our tank caught up to the rise in the bacteria very quickly, or the rise of the ammonia very quickly. But again, with all and any test kit that you get, you should always follow the directions. If it has a color chart, go by the color chart. Also, other things you want to test in your tank is the salinity of the water with the hydrometer. That tells you exactly how salty your water is. And maybe the next time or in the next video, we'll get into showing you that. We're having some things going with our tank where we're experiencing a brownout, which is an algae, a single cell algae. It's brown or reddish in color that will suddenly appear in your tank. Give it about 2 weeks, it will disappear. But for right now, I think we're done. Peyton has tested the water in our aquarium. Everything seems to be moving along the way it should be. Our ammonia is at 0.025. Our pH is at 8.3 round about. Our nitrite still around 0, and nitrate still around 0. But within the next few weeks, it'll probably change. we look for these things to change. We need them to rise and drop. This way we know we have an established nitrogen cycle and our tank is maturing the way that it should be. So until next time, I'm Pete, this is Peyton, and we'll see you again real soon.
Bye.